Let me talk first, and then we decide about this. I know it's last talk today. I'm the one keeping you away from drinks and party and dinner. So I would like to talk a little bit with you about artificial intelligence, why it's important. I know we all have some knowledge, but I'm an investor in the AI space, so I have brought you some companies who are working on interesting stuff. And also, where's Europe standing, and what we can do about it. So let me ask first, who's European here? Good, good, because this is something facing us. 150 years ago, this was mainly our society. Our grandparents, our great-grandparents, they all worked manually, they all worked in the fields or in companies with their hands. And then we deployed machines to do all the jobs. I think no one is complaining today that they sit in front of a computer or an office. No one is complaining that we don't have to work on the fields anymore. We used machines to replace our physical strength and body. And thanks to this, we have faster goods, cheaper goods we can produce worldwide. Cars got way better in quality, and we all can use our brain. However, this is the next step. In 2012, deep learning, which is an old technology from the 80s, was rediscovered. Because since then we've figured out, we have the critical mass of computing power, and we have the abundance of data which is needed. And with deep learning and other tools today, what we have already existing are cognitive systems. So if we speak about artificial intelligence today, what it can do, it can gather data from its environment, sensors or other forms of data. It's making its own simulations, it's proposing decisions, and instead of the human deciding on it, the AI is deciding itself on the action and starts to self-learn, repeating over and over again. So we are building today machines who are similar to our brain, who are replacing parts of what we call thinking. We have machines today who are building skills, memories, transfer knowledge, and this opens a whole variety of new applications and tools. Today, most of us are sitting in these human server farms. We're sitting in front of a computer, we're putting data into the computer, we're getting data out of the computer. It's just a question of time until planning logistics, doing bookkeeping, accounting, HR, and so forth is only done by the machines. It's a good thing overall, because we have to work less, but it's also a challenge for us. Because the question is, where are those machines? Where are the algorithms? How will they act? And in whose interest are they? One turning point was when 1996 and 1997, Kasparov won, or let's say, did not win chess against against IBM Deep Blue. So it was a turning point because chess is a very human game. It's a strategic game, and no animal can play it. However, he lost the game. He lost the game after 5 hours because he did one mistake, one wrong move, and the machine was brutal, using this one mistake to execute on him. So already then the machine was better. Almost 20 years later, Lee Sedol played against AlphaGo, and some of us, or most of us, have heard about this in the game 2016, which was 4-1 for the machine. And this was a surprising moment for everyone, because the machine did not know what Go is before. It did not learn the strategy books and so forth. It taught itself the game. So the AI was teaching itself the game. When it was competing against Lee Sedol, it had 100 years of combined experience playing the game. 100 years for a machine who's 2 years old. I like to play games, and this is Civilization, so it's a strategy game. And the German company Arago in 2017 developed an AI which is able to play the game better than any humans. But what is this game about? It's about strategy. It's pure strategy. It's about deploying resources, conquering cities, starting new cities, doing research, doing war, and doing diplomacy and all this. So it's a very complex game. Normally with long-term thinking, the AI already is doing this better than today. And that's why we see a lot of AI. It's still in games because there you have a limited sets of rules and borders, but within this, AI today can learn and teach itself to do these games. One of my favorite solutions recently I discovered is this artificial muse. So there's the artist called Roman Lipsky, and he's using neural nets to put into his art into the AI, and the AI is helping him to draw new pictures. So the AI is not drawing itself. He's just more speaking or describing what he sees in his inner eyes to the AI, and the AI is helping him to draft new art. So already today, AI can be used for creativity process to come up with new solutions. IBM Watson is one of many solutions for cancer detections. And I ask you, AI today can detect if you have cancer or not in 99.9% of the cases. So almost perfectly, an AI knows if you're sick or not. A human doctor, 80% likelihood to discover it. So if you're afraid that you have cancer or maybe not, who do you want, to check out? Who do you want that your MRT scan is screened by an AI or by a human? I know that I want the AI to check me. I want the human to tell me the answer. Airplanes is a beautiful case how we use AI. Everyone is flying with AI today. 99% of the airplane at the time is controlled by the artificial intelligence. Honestly, there are 2 AIs out there who's doing the plane, 2 backup systems if they fail, and then we have a human backup called the pilot, another human backup called the co-pilot. But the pilots are not flying anymore for a long time. At the same time, we are flying longer, safer, cheaper, and we need more pilots because we travel more in the world. So AI does not replace any humans there. It's enhancing us, and it makes it more convenient and better for every one of us. This is the company called Avor. And Avor is using data, public data, but also data from the police to figure out where crime happens before it actually happened. So, for example, they know where a robbery or a someone will break into a house at a certain time. They know this weeks before the robber itself has decided about this. So the police is there before the robber already figures out, I want to go in this area and rob something. They also work, for example, with Porsche. So when you have your Porsche and you park it in the neighborhood, yes, the car will tell you now if someone will steal your car or not with a certain likelihood tonight. We trust Google. I mean, Google algorithm is one of the strongest AIs out there because we trust them, or the AI, with one very important thing: to gather information and also decide what's true, what's not true. We believe what something is ranked high on Google is more true and more valuable, something we don't find on other pages. So already today, an algorithm is deciding significantly how we see the world and what we gather as knowledge. So we really trust the AI. And I would say everyone is using it instead of going to the library and looking for books and then taking the last page and looking for the next book as a source of recommendation. Amazon Alexa or Echo or Google Now we have in our households will lead to following. We start speaking with the computers. In 10 years, you will not type anymore. By the way, typing in front of a computer still sucks. I mean, that's no fun. You will start to communicate. You will speak with your fridge, with your house, with Google, but you also will speak with your car. And this is way more natural. It's way more natural to talk. And finally, we have machines who understand us. They do not understand what you say. They have no clue about the meaning. But they understand what your goal is, what the order is, what the keyword is, and so forth. Also, that means our kids are growing up with machines talking to them. Yes? If you have younger kids, they use this. They use this for solving the homework, to gather information, to turn on the light, to order an Uber, or to put something on the shopping list. Self-driving cars. I mean, I don't have to say that they will come. We already know, and we already know that in several countries they are out there. The beauty about them, it's swarm intelligence. So if one Tesla is not able to have the difference between a bridge and a white truck and tries to drive under the truck, this is a fatal accident for one person. But now every other Tesla car learned that this was a mistake. So when a car is doing something right or wrong, every other car learns with this. We, in contrast, we all have to go to driving schools. We all have to learn to drive. We can't learn from our parents or our friends. We all have to do it, and we are still terrible drivers. We kill 1 million people every year because we drive drunken, we text, we yell, we are tired, we're unconcentrated. 1 million people. So if we use self-driving cars, we can reduce this by 90%. And that means we can save hundreds of thousands of lives every year. And yes, the AI will do mistakes. They will do way different mistakes than we do. But the good thing is we can train them. We teach them and we tell them what's right or wrong, and we can adapt this and improve. And we only have to train one car because every other car learns with this. But where we have good things and advantages, we also have challenges and risks. And we just have, in the talk by Einstein, CERN, Boston Dynamics. And if you want to have nightmares, Google Boston Dynamics and check out the robots. Because they scare me until today. They are creepy. So just imagine this machine, 300 kilograms, fully autonomous, equipped with every kinds of weaponry and access to databases and so forth. It is out there and is doing the job normally soldiers are doing. And the good part is, if they get destroyed, it's just metal and not a human we put in a coffin. But on the other hand, they will do 100% of the orders they're supposed to. They don't have emotions, they don't think about right or wrong, they get an order and they execute on this. And these machines are out there. But currently it's mainly Russia, it's Israel, it's China, it's the United States doing it. Here in Europe, we can't even build drones. So what will be the warfare in the future? It will be those machines walking through our streets, and if we don't do something against this in a certain way, it won't be ours. Today, if you use image recognition, those algorithms, they already know about you what your gender is, what your skin color is, what your age is, your behavior. In Israel, they use image detection to figure out if you're nervous, so if you're maybe a terrorist or not. Those algorithms, wherever you are and there's a camera, it knows who you are. And more extreme, when we go to China, they track you non-stop. Everyone has a number there. Wherever you walk in China, they are tracking you. They know where you are. And then they combine this with a social score they have. And the social score in China is like a real-life role-play game. So if you cross a street and it's red, you get minus points. But if you pay your taxes on time, you get positive points. So you can upgrade. And if you have a lot of points in the system, you get the better jobs, you can fly more, you get cheaper credits, and you get better ratings and better matches for online dating. But if you lose too many points, you don't get credits, you get a shitty apartment, you don't get a job, and you can't travel anymore. So already today in China, an algorithm is controlling large parts of society. And I would say this is the nightmare George Orwell always dreamt of and didn't want to have. And with technology, it is possible. So this is out there. We as Europeans have to figure out how we answer with this. Do we want this too or not? And if we don't want it, how do you react? Because the technology is out there, it can be used. And I'm pretty sure some of our governments would love it, and other governments say, no, no way, please. So if we could look at international comparison, with Roland Berger, I did a study where we analyzed 11,000 AI companies. And from those 11,000 AI companies, we kicked out 7,000 of them because they are not really AI. And we figured out that 40% of all AI companies are today based in the USA. No surprise. But number 2 already is China, with 11% market share. And number 3 is Israel with another 11% of market share. And Europe itself, it's fragmented. We see that this will be, I would say, battle for technology, mainly in the East and the West, but we Europeans are stuck somewhere in the middle. And I asked you, what values shall your AI have in future? So if you have a self-driving car, should it decide in the Chinese way or an American way? The AI teaching your kids, the AI trading your stock, reporting to the agency what you're speaking about. Should it be an AI with Chinese values, American values? Or do we have European values we want to have in the system? Do we want to grow up in a world which is representing our core beliefs? Do we want to be in a world, yes, where we can trust the machines? I don't say that an American machine or a Chinese machine is wrong. But the AI is the result of the values the programmers and the teachers and the data are put into the machines. And in the critical phase, they will always act in the interests and the behavior they were taught. And there are cultural similarities and differences. So I say we need European AIs. We need a strong European AI ecosystem. And it's not about money, it's about independence. It's about preserving what we stand for, what we live in, and preserving our culture, also with technology in the future. So what can we do? One thing is we need a strategy. We definitely need a strategy. Macron came up with a French one. He wants to invest 1.5 billion into this. The British say they want to invest another billion on their own terms. The European Commission is working on a strategy. Angela Merkel in Germany, she said, yes, we have a strategy now. They just published it last week to invest another 3 billion. So this is good steps. First problem is the European Commission says they will have a strategy in 2 years. And we all know in startup world, 2 years, that's a decade. So much is happening. Second is all these strategies, and I'm actually writing one of them for Germany. All of them care about ethics. They say like, oh, if we have these machines, we want to know how to control them or make them illegal. They don't speak about how we can build them and foster an ecosystem around this. And also, everyone is working on his own topics. We Europeans, we are not united. Everyone has it. Estonia is very strong on this. Finland, Norway is strong on this. But if you go, for example, to Romania, Bulgaria, Czech Republic, they don't even have a clue about this. And we need to solve this together. So, our advantage in Europe is we have very good researchers. We have very good universities. We have a lot of talents. We have already a common system of sharing knowledge, of diversity, working together. We just need to be able to combine this more. So our advantages in Europe, we have diversity. And diversity is important. Because AI is doing mistakes, especially if it's not diverse. Google, for example, had an image recognition AI where you can upload a picture and it's telling you what's on the picture. So it was Eiffel Tower, it was a woman, it was a grandmother, it was a car. But for black man, the label was gorilla. Because in the data, they didn't have enough black men into it, so the AI didn't know black men exist and therefore thought they were apes. And this happens if you don't have diverse data. Also, we all know in research, it's about diversity. You need people from several fields to come up with new solutions. I have been to China, and the Chinese have one problem. They don't have a diverse culture. So they're really good at execution, but they are not good with innovation because they only have the same culture and the same minds there. They are not used to bring different fields there. And our advantage is we have networks, we have European systems, we know how to cooperate. We have a strong economy here. We need the economy because it's going to apply AI and has the data. And we have very smart, ambitious people out there in the research, entrepreneurs, and so forth. So this is the good part. And the other part is we don't have a strategy. I said everyone is working its own. We don't know where we're heading. And without that strategy, we don't know the goal and we can't execute on this. Second is we have very strong data regulation, GDPR. And I personally believe GDPR is a good thing because it's giving us ownership of the data at the end. But for AI, it's not easy. We need a European market for data. We need an open exchange for data. But I also say European data should stay in Europe. I'm not a fan of using our data to monetize in the United States or in other countries. We should monetize our data too. So we need to figure out how we can save our data at the same time and act in our interest. And then the third one is, if you think about AI and technology, most see only dystopian future. They think about Ex Machina, about HAL 9000, about, I often get called for Skynet. When will AI take over the world? Will they destroy us? Yes, they will, but only if we do it wrong. If we don't teach them what's right and wrong, if we don't control them, if we don't have the right balance and the ethical values in with them. So we should stop always fearing technologies, but embracing it and developing something positive. And what we need, and this is what we have, we need more money for it. We need to support our entrepreneurs out there. We need to finance them. If the competitor in the United States gets 10 to 20 times more capital than you are, the higher the better people, they can build a faster product, they can go with lower prices. We need more capital in this. And Europe is rich. We are a rich nation. We have the money. We just don't invest it in the future. We rather spend it on welfare, on retirement, or maintaining the status quo. We should invest more into our future because it's for ourselves and for our kids. And by the way, it's for ourselves because you will all live another 50 to 100 years. I promise you, for the most of us. So it's not too late, but we need to do something about this. So 3 things I can recommend. The first is, I recommend we need a 1 trillion future fund. China alone is investing only in AI, 150 billion. SoftBank has another 100 billion to invest into startups. For Europe, it should not be impossible to bring up 1 trillion over the next 10 years to invest it in education, healthcare, with the goal of preserving life, giving us longer life, more happiness, and bringing us the new technology leap. We could do it if we would have the willpower for it. Second is, I would like to have like a CERN for AGI. So CERN, it was a common project of Europe in the space of physics, and AGI is an artificial general intelligence to build an AI which is similar to our form of intelligence, an AI which can learn and adapt to new situations. And this is nothing, the question is, do you want a European project to work on this? Or do you want that Google is owning it, or Facebook, or Alibaba? Because they are working on this. Microsoft itself is investing its R&D more than whole Europe together. One company more than whole Europe together. So I say we have to invest in this, and we also have to have ambitious long-term goals where we pool our resources, and then let's build AI with the goal serving humankind, providing benefits for us, not for military purposes, but doing something good for us, serving us, because AI is there to be here for us humans. And the last recommendation, I already mentioned this, we need a positive vision of the future. We need to have dreams again. We need to believe that technology can lead to a better life, to a longer life, more prosperity, less sickness, less illnesses. But we need to build a narrative. First, it must be a European one, because if every country is doing it its own, it won't work. And second, it has to be a positive story. So that's why I'm here. That's why I like to talk to you, because most of you are Europeans, and we have in our hands. Start a business. I mean, already being here means you're interested in robotics and AI. You're open for technology. So go out there, start businesses, go to your company, start projects, go back to your member of parliament, speak with them. Go to journalists and speak about positive stories. Don't sell fear out there, sell love. We need more hope. Thank you.
Thank you for that very rousing speech, and I think it's an excellent point, the way that we believe that we hold on to some ideas or morals or values or ethics that we have in our European community, and we need to weigh that off against other nations around the world who maybe don't share the same ethics, meaning they can move faster, do other things, and that doesn't just exist in AI, that exists in all kinds of things, whether unscrupulous nations will want to move faster because they don't have the rules or don't have a GDPR that gets in their way, or they're allowed to build drones till next week or something. So I think there are big issues that we need to deal with. If we want these ethics, we really have to think a little bit harder about that. Do we have any questions for Fabian? We have over there. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you for the presentation. Excellent. 2 questions. First one, when we see how much investment in AI in the world, as you pointed out, and we see also with corporations, we see that, say, 80% it's US and China. When you look at VC funding, actually, it's about the same thing. So the first question I would have is actually the situation with AI that much different than what we already see with VC funding? First question. And the second and last question is, indeed, it's important to invest money, but then we see also small countries, such as, for example, Estonia, or I could be speaking about Israel, where at start there was not that much money, but they were able to attract money from elsewhere. So is the and on the other side, I know in France, for example, Caisse des dépôts et consignations received something like 50 billion euros for transformative development in France after the last Great Recession, and then it was not pretty much useful in terms of money. So is it really also about the amount of money, or rather the way we are going to use that money? That's my 2 questions.
Okay. So it's true. It's not only about AI, it's overall about technology. But we have here in Europe first problem. All the investors, they made their money with e-commerce, lead generation, software as a service. Our investors have not understood yet, not all of them, but most of them, that now we have to support technology. And founding teams who do e-commerce, they are way different than a founding team who works on blockchain, AR, VR, or AI. So we need to figure out ourselves as investors. When I'm an investor, we need to understand the tech, and we need to support them longer, because it's not 5 years and then they do IPO. It's 10, 20 years long-term horizon. So we need to have more patience. Second, Israel, for example, very good example. Israel is doing it well. They attract capital from all over the world, and they are hugely driven. And in Europe, for example, you go to France, and France has good capital, but not attracting from outside, because all the investors say, yeah, the French is a closed ecosystem. They don't let us in. We can't do rounds there. They only want to have French people there. And in Germany, it's a tricky situation too. It's a kind of arrogance in my country that we don't need this, we don't want this, we can already afford it, which is not true. So we need to open up there, and it's not only for AI, it's overall for AI investments, VC. But second is the money, it's not, in the United States you have pension funds or insurance companies investing into VCs, and they put all this money into startups. And in China, you have the government giving incentives to invest into this. This legislation we don't have. Pension funds, insurance companies, banks, they don't invest into technology. So the whole economy we have here, they don't invest there. All they do is like a small accelerator program where they give you a little bit of office space, and that's their pet projects now for innovation. That doesn't work. They have to take money in the hand and invest. And we have a strong economy in our industry. They should start investing, but they don't. And we have to start with the kids. We have to educate them, teach them entrepreneurship, teach them programming, teach them to learn the world and not being educated for a job, but for life. And then we need to support them. Stanford doing really good job, MIT doing really good job, helping people to start, technical people to start companies afterwards, connecting with investors. You don't have this here often.
Is there something you mentioned, I mean, coming back to that 1 trillion, do we spend 1 trillion, or is it all about that one big number? And you kind of said that, oh, well, we need to wait for the education system to really educate these young people to the next level, that when they grow up and then they start to realize there should be investment. But is there something that governments can do? As you said, European pension funds not putting money into this, much more conservative. There's something on a legislative government side that can encourage in maybe a shorter time frame than waiting for the smart kids to grow up?
So I would say European Union is already moving in the right direction. Everyone can move and travel free. We have most countries, same currency, similar laws. So this is going positive. But on the other hand, it's still like a competition. So for example, Finland and Norway, Denmark, they are doing good on AI. I think it was Finland who says we want to have a GDP of 30% just managed by AI by 2030. 30%.
Finland said this?
Yes, Finland said this, and they said, like, we want this, we embrace it. I spoke with them in the European Commission, and no idea in Germany. No, it's opposite. Germany, no, we don't want this. It's taking away jobs. Okay. Yes, and we need to preserve them. Get rid of the idea of protecting jobs. We create so many new ones. We just need to educate people to do it. We need so many AI trainers, AI supervisors. We need people, AI kindergarten teachers. We have there thousands of new opportunities. I mean, the blockchain space and so forth. We just need to think about not educating them for a perfect job, but raising them to be, entrepreneurial-minded people. And what government can do? Have a vision, have a strategy. I mean, they can outline and say, we wanted to build a system and let the people do it, but not holding them back, not keeping them back, but giving them hope and a positive push forward. And for example, in the United States, you see it, because the government says, just do it. We support it. And DARPA, very active. NSA, very active. Pentagon, they are all active. I mean, we wouldn't have Facebook without the CIA. First institutional investor was Facebook. We wouldn't have Google without DARPA. It was a research project. Yeah, so I don't say we do the militaristic part of this, but we have so many institutions who could support innovation. Give them capital to figure out the big problems without expecting a return on investment.
That's very interesting. Okay, I see where you're coming from with that. Any more questions?
Otherwise, I'm around and we can chat afterwards.
We do that. All right, going, gone. All right, we're going to do it. Thank you very much, Fabian, for a very interesting talk.
Thank you.